Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel. Today, we are going to be talking about the intricacies of writing scope of the study in a research project. Okay, so what is a scope of the study and how is it written? You know, Scope of the study talks about the boundary beyond which the study is not interested. Okay, it is concerned with the extent of the problem the researcher is able to cover in present study, having regard to his competence, the time and resources available to him or her. If the scope is narrowly defined, okay, if the scope is narrowly defined, it may result in trivial investigation whose findings are highly suspect. Okay, if the scope is too wide, the study may also become unimaginable or unmanageable. Okay, the period, population, and setting of the study should be identified clearly in the scope of the study. So, when we are talking about the scope of the study, we are talking about the major focus. You understand? The thesis of the work. You are going to say the research focuses on the impact of ASU strike on academic performance of students in the Nigerian universities. Now, having said that, is actually an example of a research a scope of the study in such topic. Okay, now when we are talking about the scope of the study, we are looking at the major focus. We are also looking at the major issue, and then the geographical location, as well as the area of the study, including periodization. Okay, so scope is actually what is the ability of the student to delimit the study to a manageable limit. Okay, and students should be able to explain the boundaries of the study, okay, as well as describe the aspect of the problem covered. Okay, now for example, if you're using if you're using as a topic, if you're using the effect of ASU strike, okay, on the academic performance of undergraduate students in Nigerian universities. Now, one can delimit it to a particular university or selected universities under study. Okay, now the scope should be managed in terms of geographical area, in terms of period, that is the time or period. And then we also talk about the research design, the research methodology, and all of that. But what is important is that under the scope of the study, okay, the researcher is expected to ensure that the area of study is clearly identified. Okay, because you cannot say that you're going to do something on the impact of ASU strike on academic performance of Nigerian students, okay, in Nigerian universities. Now, if you say Nigerian universities, there are so many universities, both public and private universities in Nigeria. So you are expected to actually delimit your work to either a particular university or selected universities. You cannot, it will become unmanageable if you start using all the universities in the 36 states of Nigeria, okay, and begin to study both public and private universities. It will become too humongous, too big, too wide to manage. Okay, so it is actually important to limit it to a selected or a particular university. Okay, so we also talk about the geographical area. Now you can decide to say, okay, since there are three major ethnic groups in this country, you can take one university from the eastern part of the country representing the Igbo speaking part. You can take one university from the western part of the country representing the Yoruba speaking part, and then you can take one university from the northern part of the country representing the Hausa speaking part. Okay, now having done that, you would have balanced. Okay, you would have balanced. Okay, the equation when it comes to geographical spread. Okay, of the country. Then we also talk about the time and period. Don't forget about the periodization. It is actually very much important to understand that it is not good for your period, for your periodization to be too wide. If it's too wide, it will become very unmanageable. So it is better to actually go, in fact, it must not go beyond 10 years. It has to be 10 years and or less. Okay, so you can do something from, okay, from 2003 to 2022. Okay, no, sorry, 2012 to 2022. That's 10 years. Okay, you can also do something from 2015 to 2022. Okay, that's like 7 years. So it has to be less than 10 years, because it is not good that a research becomes too wide, or the information becomes too stale, because once the information becomes too outdated, it makes the research to also be outdated. Okay, then we also talk about the issues of concern, the major issues in the research. Okay, that is also another area that you need to delimit the scope. Okay, what are the major issues? If you are talking about development, what are the indices of development? Okay, if you are talking about economic development, what are the indices of economic development? If you are talking about ASU strike actions and academic performance of students, what are the indices, what are the parameters of academic performance of Nigerian students or students everywhere in the world? These are the things you need to actually need to put under the scope of the study. Okay, so those are the things. Now, you like I said, you have to talk about the thesis of the study and the reason for choosing the topic. You cannot write your scope of the study without talking about the reason for choosing that the period and the topic. You need to convincingly explain to the reader or to your examiner why you are choosing the particular topic you have chosen to research on, and why you are choosing the period that you are also choosing. Why are you bringing it to a particular period, a particular geographical area? Okay, all of these things have to be mentioned. Okay, so that is actually what the scope of the study is all about in a particular project. Thank you very much.